Welcome. So far in the season, we've had the privilege of sitting with different African students here in Michigan Technological University. They've opened their doors wide and given us a glimpse of their lives, their research, and their challenges. Today, I'm taking you all the way to Southeastern Africa, to Malawi, and we sit down with our very own Bester. Stay tuned and let's get chatty. As always, I'm your presenter, Frederica Maxnedia. Welcome, Bester.
Thank you.
I mean, today has been a good day, right? It's less chilly.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, the weather's good, yeah.
And school is down, so you are less stressed.
Yeah.
Is it the case for you? Because I know I am not as busy as I would if school is out, you know.
Yeah, I guess in general, yes. I'm working on a few things, so it's not exactly free for me yet, but yeah, at least all the academic pressure is gone and the cold weather is gone.
So before we get into it, we need to know a little bit about you, right? So please tell us about Bester.
Okay, so my full name is Bester Mangisoni. I'm from Malawi. I'm doing a master's in data science. I've been here since last fall, so I have a year to go in my program.
Okay.
Apart from that, I guess I'm a software developer by trade. So in this program, because it's relevant to my field.
Okay.
There's some things I want to learn in data science, machine learning, artificial intelligence that will be very fundamental to my immediate and future goals.
Okay. So we'll get in detail about what you do in your department. But let's start with your name, because we've had a number of students from West Africa, and each person always is sentimental about their name. Like their names always have a meaning.
Okay.
Do people from Malawi, how do you come by your names? Do they even have meanings, or it's just, it sounds good, so let's go with it?
Well, a majority of the names will be in our local language. That does not apply to me. Bester does not mean anything. I mean, you're not going to find that word on the internet. It was just, I guess, a rhyming game my grandfather was playing.
Okay.
I have a cousin Lester, there's a Pester, there's an Esther. After all these guys, so I assume he just called me Bester to rhyme with all these other guys, but otherwise it doesn't really have a meaning. Yeah, I guess people like to joke and say maybe it means better than the best, but...
And the other two names?
Mangisoni, oh my goodness, all my names are made up. So Mangisoni is also a name that that was just created. Yeah, I think that's the best way I can put it. My uncle, man, okay, it's a long story. I'm trying to summarize it.
Okay.
I was supposed to be Bester Mark's son. Mark's son. So that's an English name. So long story short, my uncle thought he should make it more local, so he changed it to Mangisoni. So again, it doesn't have any meaning. It's just one of those things.
So you are the one, you are the only Bester and the only Mangisoni you will find in Malawi.
Mangisoni in the world today has to be my brother, cousin, or something.
Okay.
Yeah, unless some other guy somewhere else also decided to make up the same name.
So apart from the uniqueness of your name, Malawians in general, how do you come by your names? For example, I'm from Ghana, so we name people after the day they were born, and we have grandparents, everything else, but for each person our names have some distinct meanings. Is it the same for?
Yeah. Majority of people have, like I said, they'll have names it depends, I guess, on your tribe. You hear somebody's name, you can immediately know where they're coming from.
Okay.
So you have names like, for example, my amigo, Chikondi, all these names, like Chikondi means love, but then it's a name in a local language, so you find somebody called Chikondi. So there are a bunch of names that are in these different languages we have in my country. I'm not an expert per se in all these languages, but yeah, we do have that. But it's not really associated with when you were born. It's more to do with the language, the culture, the tribe.
Okay.
What names they normally call people in that particular culture. Yeah, but then the most key thing is, just by hearing somebody's name, you should immediately be able to know, okay, this guy's from the north, he's from the south, he's from this tribe, he's from that tribe.
Okay. Yeah. So let's still stay in Malawi, right? Because we really want to know more about Malawi.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the Malawian educational system and how that education, led you here to MTU, right?
Yeah. Okay. Okay, that's an interesting one. I'll just explain my journey, I guess.
Okay.
It's hard for me to generalize.
All right.
I think I have a little bit of a unique situation.
Okay.
When I was 1 year old, I was here in the US.
Okay.
It's where I did my my nursery education,
Okay.
let's say.
Your elementary.
PhD, yeah, so I was here with my dad. Yeah, up to I was 5 years old, and then when I was 5, I went back home, and then I started my primary school education, and then I got selected into university. And then after that, I applied for the Fulbright Scholarship.
Okay.
And I ended up here. So
The bright ones, huh?
well, I guess, yeah. Yeah, so I think what I would say is, as far as the education system is concerned, our system is it's been changing, but then at some point it was more tuned to, if you're a performing student, there's a scholarship for you,
Okay.
and then you go to the next stage, because there were scholarships to do secondary education, and then scholarships to do university education, and then after university education is when normally, I mean, most people start looking for other scholarships to go out and so on. Yeah, but yeah, we do have one, I think, major university that's recognized in our country. It's been split, I think, into 4 now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but
Is it like the National University?
yes.
Okay.
Yes, of course. Now, after it got split, I think, I'm not really sure how they're being organized now. They all have separate vice chancellors. I'm not sure whether they're not fully government. I know that they're parastatals, partial government, partial private, something like that. But there's been a lot of change happening, especially in the recent years. So I'm not really sure what the situation is now. But then they all started as government institutions.
Oh, okay. I mean, yours is a very peculiar situation, right? So you started here in the US, went back home, and you're back. So you are in a very good position to be able to compare, because for most people back home, and I think that's something that prospective students need to understand.
Yeah.
For most people, when we think about, some people think about American, they say, oh, it's not that difficult. We have it tough in Africa. Being a student in Africa is tough, and then when you come to the US,
Yeah.
it's easy, right? So you have been in both situations. If you had to compare, you know, the rigor to which we study, facilities, no, the general philosophy of education, how would you compare these two systems?
Well, we're not very advanced in my country. The immediate thing I noticed when I came here was, you know, all of these electronics in the classroom. I mean, every classroom, I think it's almost a standard. You have 3 screens in there. You have a projector screen.
Okay.
You might have to swipe into the building. I mean, all this stuff was new to me when I came in. Canvas and all that. I don't think I ever used a system to manage my classes in my university. It wasn't like that. And then, of course, there's also the instruction. I think most of the reason I came here is because I wanted in my head I was telling myself I wanted a more advanced education. So like you're saying, we have this stereotype that when you come here, things are going to be, okay, you said things are going to be easy. For me, I think when I looked at the US, I always thought it's going to be that challenging environment, so I always prepared myself. And I haven't been too disappointed as of now. I mean, not all instructors can be perfect, but then I've been in some situations where I go like, did I travel this far to run into this? You know? But then there are also some instructors who are really hardcore, and you know, you appreciate at the end of the program.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, yeah, this is nice now. Yeah, now I've been schooled, you know?
Yeah, you've been schooled, right?
Yeah, so in general, I mean, this is a very different environment. Anyone who comes here should be prepared, you know, to step it up a little bit. Yeah, but then again, I guess for me, I've always set my standard a little high. I graduated top of my class in university, so I don't know, it still sticks with me to some extent.
You always want to be up there.
Yeah, so I still have this, I'm always trying to challenge myself even though I'm in a very different environment. Of course, it's different here. You know, here we're not really compared, so you don't really know how you're doing in the class. It's all at the discretion of the instructor. But then, still, I've always wanted to do the best I can.
Yeah.
I think one thing my father always told me was, don't compare yourself to everyone else, but set a high standard, you know. So I've worked with that for a while. It's part of why I think I did well in my university education, because there are some courses I'll do maybe too well. I remember in my first year in university, I did so well. We had to be standardized because they're looking at the grades. This guy was too far on that end, and then everyone else is on this end, so we had to get standardized and so on. But then, so for me, that was like, you know, initially this is my first year, and then they do that to me, and I thought, okay, maybe here you shouldn't do too well. Maybe that's what they're trying to tell me. But then, my dad's like, no, if you're gonna do anything, set your own standard and set it high. It doesn't matter how anyone else does. You should do things to work for you. And I think I've gone by that philosophy for a long time.
So for a person, as you are speaking, I get the impression like you said, you set the standard very high for yourself, right? So in choosing MTU, I would like to think that the same kind of thought went into your selection of a university, because you had all the other universities. So let us know what are some of the considerations. If somebody is out there and wants to come to MTU, right? What are some of the things, or even in Malawi and thinking about, pursuing a graduate study or program, and they decide to come to MTU, what are some of the things that led you here?
Actually, that's a very interesting question. I had no idea this place existed until I came.
Okay, please.
So the scholarship program, how it works is you apply to the scholarship, they find you a school. So I applied to Fulbright, I got selected, and I was just waiting for them to tell me where to go, because they do applications on your behalf.
Okay.
I did give them suggestions. I didn't get selected to any of those suggestions I made. I was really in the dark. Part of why I applied to this scholarship was because I didn't really understand the US system. So, we only know schools that are in movies, Harvard. And these are the top universities here. So you find that for me, I think one of the universities I put was Yale, and after I did my GRE exam, I already knew it was no.
It was a no, right?
Yeah, so here's Fulbright. They're telling me I just need to tell them what I want to do, what I've done, and then they'll figure out the rest. So I was like, okay, this is actually good for me, I guess. I'm sure there are a lot of universities in the US.
Yeah.
They should be able to find me one. So they're the ones who told me to come to Michigan Tech. And then the moment they sent me that email is when I started looking it up and so on. And then I had no idea I was going to be this far in the north, this cold.
Yeah, we will come to that. Because everybody has, all the guests, the students who've been on this seat have different impressions about the weather and everything else. We will come to that.
Okay.
But I want us to spend some time talking about the Fulbright Scholarship.
Yes.
Because there are a number of people who want to, apply for schools, pursue higher degree programs. But for most people, it goes down to money.
Yeah.
It comes down to money, and a lot of people back home don't even know their options, right? So since you are a Fulbright student, can you please educate people on what it is to be a Fulbright student? What are the process? How do you even apply for it, or do you just get selected? What is it? How does it work?
Okay, so Fulbright is basically one of the flagship scholarships in the US. It's available, I think, in most countries in the world.
Okay.
They're normally administered by the embassies, or what do they call them in other countries, or consulates in the countries. So you apply to your embassy or consulate, and then the process goes on from there. But basically, for you to get the scholarship, it's very competitive.
Okay.
In my country, they only select 3 people.
Okay.
So the key things you're going to need during that application process is they'll want you to write 2 essays.
Okay.
You have to submit a personal statement and study objectives. So these 2 things will basically say where you're coming from, what you want to do, how you can benefit the rest of your society. So it's a tricky process. I don't recommend people trying to make anything up. If you can contribute to your country, you can contribute. It'll be easy. For me, I work for my country's tax administration in the systems development department.
Okay.
So for me, it was after working in the department for 4 years, I could easily see
how you can contribute
in the systems. And being a tax administration, you have direct influence on the economies, everything. So it was really easy for me to express how I can
help.
There was this real problem that is there that I intend to go back to work on, so writing this wasn't really a challenge for me. But again, despite where you are, I think you can always find something you can do in your country. Whatever space you're in, you just need to look and find it, because these guys have a very vigorous process. They're going to make sure you wrote your essays. They're going to make sure you actually understand your stuff and you can make an impact. So you just, I think it applies to every scholarship. Just try to sit down, understand how it is you can make an impact. I think there's also an element of selflessness that's important, because for me, I was really passionate about these problems I'm telling you about. I mean, I had opportunities where I could leave my office, but then the thing that kept me going was, okay, I think I can make an impact here, you know. So it's that thing that helped me with the scholarship as well. You wouldn't believe how my interview went. It was 15 minutes long. I still don't understand what it is I said in that interview that got these guys to select me. I normally go into an interview and know the result immediately I come out. It's either I failed or I did well.
We did well.
At least, as far as I'm concerned, I'll have a position and I'll live with it. If I know I didn't do well, I'll just go home and go like, okay, there's no way these guys are going to select me. Or if I knew I did really well, I'll be expecting, you know. So, but then this was the first interview I went in.
I didn't know.
I had no idea what happened. They asked me what I wanted to do briefly. I tried to explain it, so I don't know, maybe I said the right thing too early in the interview and then they decided to cut it short. So for me, I was like, wait, they haven't asked me any of the important questions.
According to you, right?
Yeah, I mean, everything I prepared for, because you know what I mean, you rehearse these things, you always know where you're going to have your opportunity to express yourself, and I didn't really get that. But then they did ask me a few introductory questions. They asked me where I was from, so I don't know, maybe somehow they were checking something, and then they just decided, oh, okay, I think, he's
good.
So, let's go with him, send him home, and then all of a sudden, okay, thank you very much for your time. And I was like,
what?
Wait, what happened? You know, so I'm doing my assessments, and I can't get any conclusions because all of my all of the checks, you know, I can't check anything because they haven't asked me what I expected, you know, so. But then what I know for sure was this thing I'm telling you about. I don't know how to explain it, but I knew I really had something to offer.
Yeah.
Whatever it is I was saying, I had this behind my mind. So I'm sure somewhere within what I was saying, I said the right thing.
Oh, you were being honest. So you've packed your bags. You have your scholarship in your bag.
Yeah.
And you come to MTU. You come to Horton, right?
Yes.
When did you arrive? Is it which of the seasons?
I came in July actually. I had to come. Part of the scholarship was going to New York to do a pre-academic program. So they teach you about the American culture. They try to help you transition. So I did come when it was pretty warm and stuff. Yeah, because that was July. So, you know, I had July, August, the whole of September was okay. The whole of October.
So when did you get here?
July 22.
So it was the good season?
Yeah.
It was the good season.
It was a good season. I had all the time to transition into the cold weather.
And the cold hit?
No, actually I was excited. I mean...
You were excited?
Yeah, I mean, I only saw snow in movies. I mean, so I was like...
You are the first to say that, really.
I guess so.
What made you excited? Is it just seeing the snow?
I don't know. I've always just wanted to experience snow. You see people in movies doing all these things in the snow and so on. It looks exciting. So I come here. One of the things I'm looking forward to is, okay, I want to see the snow. So I get here in July. There are 3 months to wait. So, you know, I was anxious. I mean, I wanted the snow to come so I could experience it. So, and I've tried to do a bunch of things. It's just that I didn't really do a lot, I think. So I never got to a point where I was like, this is too much. I can't handle it anymore, you know, because I only got bits and pieces of the winter experience.
Okay.
So I guess it was a good dosage, because I think if I did everything mid-season, I don't know, maybe I was gonna feel the way other people feel, but then it was exciting. Of course, I mean, it's not pleasant, don't get me wrong. It's not like I like going out and then having my hands almost freeze within 10 seconds, you know, and then I mean, I had a crazy experience when I just got here, because I kept asking people what to buy for the weather. And I kept getting misled. Somebody's going to get me to buy these gloves, and then apparently they're the wrong gloves. I have to go buy another set, apparently they're the wrong gloves. So, you know, I don't like taking risks too much. So if somebody tells me go get these boots, what I'm thinking is, okay, I could lose my leg. Let me just go get these boots. And I get the boots, and then they're the wrong boots. So, I mean, that was frustrating. But then at the end of the day, I was like, okay, I just want to experience the snow. I mean, I didn't really care too much. I think that's what got me going. I mean, I know people say they're depressed during the season, vitamin D, all these things here. I don't relate.
You don't get any of those vibes?
No, I don't. No, not really. I mean, once you have the right clothing, and I don't know, you have stuff to look forward to, I think you're okay. The people I've talked to who say they're not okay usually are indoors, so maybe that's what kind of affects them. But for me, I mean, sometimes I walk out in the snow and, you know, I'm grabbing some snow, playing with it, throwing it around.
By yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I'll just go out sometimes, especially when I just got here. I mean, the first day it snowed, I went outside just to step on it because I just wanted to get up.
And did you get the whole Hollywood, view and perception and vibe about the snow?
Oh, okay. The only part that they don't really express too well is the dangers of the snow, because I remember going out without my gloves, and that was a bad experience. I forgot my gloves and I had to walk the whole day without them. So whenever your hands are out, it's freezing. You have to put them back in. That was a really bad experience. But then, I mean, you just need to know in advance what it's like and then prepare appropriately. I had maybe 7 pairs of gloves. So, I mean, apart from this one day where I forgot the gloves, everything else was quite okay. I mean, I was always putting on layers and so on. Sometimes I overdid it. Some people in class would tell me I'm overdoing it. But then for me, I'm like, well, I'd rather put on a lot of clothing and then take it off
than be underdressed.
Dress and panic in the snow. I mean, the snow can kill you, literally. I didn't come here to touch it.
So at the department, so you've taken us to the department, right? Let's talk about data science.
Yes.
I know some do computer science and data science. Is it the same? Is it complementary? Is it a sub of the other? Or they are just two completely different things?
I would... which one? Let's see, the same sub... Okay, let me explain it like this.
Okay.
The best way to explain data science at a high level is it's computer science, statistics, and business knowledge.
Okay.
You put these three together and then you have data science. I think the thing that really separates data science from computer science is the statistics. For me, like I said, I'm in IT. I'm a software developer by trade. I thought I knew a lot about IT. That all changed when I went into data science, because my first problem when I came in was statistics. I didn't do a lot of statistics in my program. I did general IT.
Okay.
So in general IT, you're trying to do a little bit of everything.
All right.
So we didn't really do a lot of mathematics, let alone hardcore statistics. So I come here and then data science, I'm like, okay, I know how to program already. I should be okay. And then they're throwing all these statistics.
And you're not okay.
The first course I registered for here, I had to drop it and take another one just because of all of the statistics that were in there. I had to go and talk to my advisor, consult people, and then they told me enough, and then I knew, okay, I think this is the sequence I should take. So I had to go and enroll in a statistics course, an introductory course, and so on, and then that made things a lot easier, because I mean, you're not doing data science if you're not doing statistics. Yeah, I mean, most of the concepts, machine learning, AI, they all have a statistical foundation.
So when you were, giving us all the different dimensions of being a computer science student, you're talking about statistics and computer science and economics, right?
No, business.
Business, yeah, business. Yeah, so I'm guessing, so if somebody is back home and wants to do what you do, data science, if I'm doing business, can I apply? If I'm doing just statistics, what qualification do I need to be able to apply to your program?
Statistical background is really important.
Okay.
You need to have some programming experience, or at least do some programming course, because there's a lot of programming. I mean, all these statistical concepts we're talking about, you have to apply them in code at some point. And then, of course, I think the business part is, I mean, it's not really complicated. They have an introductory course that's compulsory that you need to take. So they'll teach you about organizations, the structures, how these components in an organization affect each other. And then you're supposed to use that and relate it to the other aspects, the statistics and the computer science. The machine learning, in other words, I guess, because the rest of the way it's really about learning how to engineer data for business, so that's why you have that business component. Yeah, so the most important ones, you need to have some statistical background. I survived it by taking the introductory course. I imagine somebody else could do this.
So just math will be okay?
Statistics.
Is it different?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So if you have just math, I think you need to go and take a short course in statistics or something.
And a programming course.
And programming.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So what is a day for a graduate student in your department? What is the most average of days, or just a normal day? What is your day like?
In my experience, I think it's also related to the courses I've been doing. If you don't have a programming assignment, then that must be a very strange week. There's always a programming assignment. There's always some statistical concepts you're working with. Because especially this term, I don't remember a week we didn't have a programming assignment.
Okay.
I think it has to do with the course I was doing, like I said, advanced data mining. So most of the times, you're working with programs, trying to understand how data is structured, learn from the data, build models, and so on. So yeah, it's a lot of computer. I mean, you're always on your computer. Yeah.
So, I mean, those who've been on the platform and working in, some aspect of or some department within the STEM field, right? They always talk about being in the lab all the time. Sometimes some need to sleep in the lab or go home around 1 a.m., 2 a.m. because they still have stuff to finish before the next day. Yeah. Is it the case for students in your department?
No, not really. For us, I think our lab will be a digital environment. So it's in your computer. Unless you don't have a computer, we do have computer labs, but then I imagine they're not the labs that guys in mechatronics would have, because for guys in engineering, they have to go to the lab because they're tools that they can only find in the lab. For me, my tool is a computer. So if I have my own computer and I can connect to the network, I can pretty much work from wherever I want. So there's nothing like sleeping here on campus because I need to get anything done. It could happen if you don't have a computer, like I said, but then it's more flexible, I would say.
So I'm imagining that it can be stressful if you have work to do all the time. So how do you decompress and de-stress?
I feel like for me internally, I'm kind of an academic to some extent. I like learning things, so I haven't really found a problem with that. But then when I talk to fellow students, sometimes like this course I'm telling you about, they gave us assignments every week, so it was stressful. I mean, you gave us so much work, but then for me at the end of the day, I'm like, okay, if this is what I have to do to learn a lot, bring it on.
Bring it up, okay.
But then for some people, oh my God, this woman has given us too many assignments. What is she thinking? This is the last week of our term. Give us a break. We have exams, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, bring them. I mean, this is how I learn. I mean, whenever you're done with assignments, there's something new I'm learning, and I just love learning, So it's stressful. I enjoy it to some extent.
You enjoy the stress?
The assignments, because I'm learning, so yeah.
Okay, so let's come to ASO. When you got to campus, how did you hear about ASO?
I think when I was coming, the biggest stress is finding accommodation. Somehow you end up finding somebody from ASO. James found me, I think, in my case. He sent me a message, I think on Facebook or somewhere. I was looking for accommodation, and then when I got to my lowest, it was a week to class. I started and found accommodation. I don't know, something just sent me online and I found James's message. So and then when he pointed me to the group, that's when I discovered, there's an African Students Organization, blah, 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 and so on. Yeah.
And how has it been for you being part of the association?
It's interesting. I didn't realize there was so much to learn about Africa than I know now. I mean, it was very surprising, the differences across food, across music, across culture, and so on. It's interesting. It's amazing. It's just nice. Of course, it's also enlightening. I mean, for me, I think before I came here, I never really thought, okay, let me go to Zambia and see what it's like. I just thought, okay, these are our brothers and sisters. What's different, But then you come here, you meet Nigerians, you meet people from Ghana. They have a lot of different hot and spicy food, and you're like, okay, interesting. So this is how some people cook. Because I mean, you go to an African night event. For me, I don't think I'm going to the event as an African. I'm going as somebody who also wants to learn.
Okay.
That's eye-opening.
That's a very beautiful perspective to how you engage with people from other African countries, right? Yeah. So if you had to name one cultural shock, right? When we think about cultural shock, usually it's from an African to a white, environment. Yes. But let's talk about cultural shock even amongst, different students from different African countries within the association. Yes. What is that one thing that I say, this is a shock?
They're feeding a baby food, jollof rice with chili. I didn't understand. I was surprised. Back home, when you start eating chili at a certain age, you don't have babies eating anything hot. And then here's this guy feeding his kid jollof rice.
Yeah.
And I had to taste the rice just to make sure it's the same rice he's eating and it's hot. And then I had to go and ask, why are you feeding this baby jollof rice? And he's looking at me, doesn't even understand. But for him, it's normal. And I was like, that's why these guys can eat such hot food.
Yeah. I mean, back home, I remember when I had my kids, my mom will start giving my kid hot soup from 3 months. So whenever she prepares hot soup, she would, take a teaspoon, just a teaspoon of it, and then give a sip to the baby.
Yeah, I mean, that was just...
And it's hot, and you ask, it's like, that's how, that you make sure the child doesn't get nauseous and they start, getting used to the heat.
Yeah.
So once in a while, hot soup will go down the baby's throat, and it doesn't hurt them. My kids are fine. So
I still don't understand.
Yeah.
I mean, it's interesting to know that it's possible because, if you see a child back home eating anything with chili in it, I mean, you panic like he's falling off a cliff. You jump just to get it out of his mouth, But then now you see these people voluntarily feeding their own child, and you're like, oh, okay, so it's okay.
Yeah, so. I mean, as a young mom, I was shocked because until I had a child of my own, I hadn't paid attention to what happens to babies, right?
Oh, okay.
So the first time I saw my mom, like, what are you? I was freaking out. She was like, chill. That's what we do. So it's like, okay.
Interesting.
And anyway, so I can see how now that you've been an executive, right?
Yes.
The past year you were part of ASO's executive. How was the experience?
Well, I think for me, I just wanted to contribute. I feel like I was helped by the organization, so I felt a need to give back. I think it goes back to the things I was talking about before. I just like to find a way to associate and help people, So when James came calling, he needed help with that. I thought, okay, I think it's not too much of a big deal. I could help. I mean, yeah. So it was exciting just serving,
And you did your job so well. We elevated you, and we made you our boss, right?
Yeah, of course. I mean,
were you shocked?
Of course, I was very shocked. I was very shocked. Okay, so people were approaching me. I didn't expect anyone to come to me and ask me to be president, So of course, I mean, some people said they just wanted a different person, somebody who's not Nigerian or Ghanaian. I was like, okay, are you sure that's what you want me? Why? There are a lot of other people, Kenyans. I can point you to them. Yeah, but then
other reasons, right?
Of course, yeah, and then it played back to a philosophy I have. Okay, not to go into that discussion, but I believe that if people approach you and they want you to do something in a leadership position, there's a reason, and to deny it is not a good thing. That's why we have so many bad leaders, because the good ones don't accept the position. So they come to me, I'm shocked, and then I remember that philosophy, and I was like, okay, I think I can help. I mean, I've seen enough to navigate. I mean, it'll be a new experience, but then I was like, okay, bring it on.
Yeah. And I'm glad you said when you come to you, you feel you can help, right? So I want us to wrap up. And as our new president, I think you have a word or two to tell your people and those who are coming in next year and the year after. What is your vision for ASO in the coming year? I mean,
I think for me the most exciting thing is, like I said, I had no idea there was so much to learn about Africa. That's one thing I intend to work on. We have been having presentations. I just feel like more can be done. We can document these things. Somebody could be a new student here and just go online and watch a bunch of videos about these different countries and be up to speed in no time. At the same time, we're sharing the culture to the rest of the society, which I think is also part of the mission of the organization. So I think one thing people can expect is, or should also plan to help with, is this program, this diversity program, where we can learn from each other and document it really well. Yeah, pretty much that. Of course, the other things is mostly fine-tuning things. Like I said, I was assistant when I came here the first time, so there was that program, I'll call it a transportation program, that helped me. I feel like we can do the same for other people, just make it a little bit more organized. There's some challenges I could see in the last executive, so I feel like we can do better on those. There's other programs like we have an academic chair, we have all these academic programs we've been doing, the immigration stuff, if you were there in the last. I think all these things can be improved on and done better, but then I think the one thing that I'm excited about is this African diversity.
And I think it's a good thing, especially we've had instances. We have the conversation about the West African dominance in the association, right? it might be by default simply because Nigerians and Ghanaians seem to have the larger
huge numbers. Yes.
So, as the new president, what are some of the things that you are thinking about to make sure that everybody gets equal voice?
Yes. We intend, or I intend, to propose a program to what's the word? Strategically, or to bring structure into this sharing of culture,
Yes.
because I don't know what your experience was. For me, in my case, it was more random, and like you're saying, because the majority is going to be Western Africa, that's where you get the best presentation. So I thought, instead of leave it random like we did before, we can have a program. So a high-level snapshot of the program is, for example, imagine in the first month we're just doing East Africa.
Yes.
So if we have a template and we know what we want to learn from these people, we just need to approach all these people as few as they are, and then help them out with showcasing their country, and then learn from them.
Yes.
So that's the high-level idea. So we intend to come up with a plan, this program, where we can focus on certain sections of Africa in a certain period and so on. So it's still in its early
days yet.
Yes. So but then we definitely want to design that thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm excited already, and we hope to see great things from you and your other executives.
Yeah.
All right. So it's been wonderful having you here, Bester.
Yeah.
It's been exciting learning about Malawi, learning about data science, and just being a student in MTU. Right. Thank you for coming.
Sure, you're welcome. Thank you for having me.
It's been a lovely session with Bester today. We've had an interesting conversation. We've talked about being a Fulbright student. That is something that I want all of us to keep in mind, especially if you are applying from Malawi or any part of Africa. Know that you have options if you are struggling with sponsorship. And as always, if you want to learn more about being a student in the United States, being a graduate student in the US, or even in Michigan Tech, and being a member of ASO, you can check all our social media platforms for this video and all our other videos. Thank you, and stay tuned. Watch out for our next video. Bye.